Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, who was a drunk driver, and a lot of people think does insider trading. I don't know. Him and his wife became 100 millionaires while she was in Congress. You think they do insider trading? I think they do. I think they're big criminals
or something.
I think they're big criminals. So they charged the guy who attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband. They charged a man accused of attacking a pair of federal charges stemming from the Friday morning assault that stirred fears of politically motivated violence during the midterm. It stirred fears. I hate when they stir fears.
Stop stirring my fear.
Federal prosecutors charged David DePape, 42 years old, with assault and attempted kidnapping in connection with the break-in, writing in court documents that the attacker brought with him a roll of tape, white rope, zip ties, 2 hammers, and other items. The media is now portraying the suspect in the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband as a man fundamentally driven by right-wing ideology. Neighbors described DePape as a homeless drug addict with politics that was, until recently, left-wing, but of secondary importance to his psychotic and paranoid behavior.
No shit.
So here's one of his neighbors going to talk about his politics.
And that's when I recognized his face. That's the only time I ever saw his face was within like the last month or so. Or a couple weeks.
Do you know how long he stayed during that? A couple months ago?
No. We try to just avoid them at all costs.
Okay.
Until they, bother us.
Okay, but so the last time you saw him was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was here for a few days.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything strange about him, or anything that stood out?
There's something strange about the whole household. The entire household is very, very strange.
How about him?
He is birds of a feather with akin to them. So they are just, nudist drug abusers.
Drug abusers.
That's who gravitates toward them.
Far right nudists.
Sound like far right.
Seem to be underage.
Far right nudist druggies.
I might have known.
That lives in a bus. There we go.
Under 18.
I'm not sure how old they are.
Okay.
And Trisha, again, what do you say their politics are?
I'm not sure. I would imagine that they're more left-leaning because of their
because they're nudists and they're drug addicts and they live on a bus.
Hey, never mind all that other very obvious. Wait, can you say did they have a MAGA hat at any point?
No, but they did have a gay pride flag. I'll show you in a sec. Here we go.
Because they have the flag, the LGBT flag with the pot.
They have an LGBTQ flag on their bus out on the outside of it. This is this crazy right winger. Okay, the nudist drug addict LGBTQ flag waver is a crazy right winger. Sounds like a crazy right wing hippie. Mm-hmm. And this is the neighbor, if someone actually has a contact, says the exact opposite of what your establishment news has been telling you. Okay.
Nothing that they believe in aligns with their actions. So they'll say that they are, pro Black lives, and then they'll call the police on Black people. Mm-hmm. And so they don't stand by their actions. Don't stand by.
They're inconsistent.
So
in
some
their
paranoid
actions.
behavior. It sounds
yeah,
like.
Paranoid,
absolutely.
And some psychotic behavior too.
Yes.
Okay.
Was that also demonstrated when David was the president, or was that times when?
Yeah, it's never changed how they've acted.
It's really weird to see that they are willing to be so aggressive towards somebody else who's also a lefty. A closer look reveals that the characteristics of a homeless encampment are what Europeans call an open drug scene. So this is in the driveway. This is where the guy lived. There's the driveway. There's a broken down camper van. On the street is a yellow school bus, which neighbors said DePape occasionally stayed in. Both are filled with garbage typical of such structures and homeless encampments. Here's the gay pride flag. It's over here. You can't see it perfectly.
I mean...
So this is the crazy right-winger guy.
Maybe take some gay pride in your filthy bus and encampment, sir.
Yeah, right? Kurt, this guy is a rainbow flag-waving Jew hater. It all adds up. You know how Hitler loved the Jews.
And he was kind of gay or something, right? That's the rumor.
Yeah. Nobody's trying to blame Pete Seeger for this. Why is that? He's the one who wrote the song, If I Had a Hammer.
Oh, I forgot that
If
was
I
his
had a
song.
hammer, I'd hammer in the morning.
Yep.
I'd hammer at the Pelosi's all over this land.
If you say that in San Francisco, that is practically a crime. Inciting.
You know, Paul Pelosi owns the Oakland Invaders. No, I'm not. That sounds like a. Anyway, I'll just leave
jokes
it there.
write themselves.
The joke's
sometimes.
right there. Yeah. Watch this. So watch the report. So remember, there was all these conflicting reports about what happened with Paul Pelosi, and then they said they have some information that contradicted the police report. Watch this.
Craig, good morning. When officers arrived here at the Pelosi home exactly a week ago today, they initially didn't have any idea exactly what was going on. They knew they had a high priority call on their hand. What was unclear, what was happening inside the property just behind me.
This morning, Paul Pelosi is home, back at the house that became a crime scene a week ago today.
First of all, I want to back this. So if you break into the house, why is all the glass on the outside? That's the first question that people have. So you break their window, it all goes inside. It doesn't come outside. So that's right away suspicious. But here we go.
It kind of looks like a lubed hammer flew out of your hand. I just, no, I'm not an investigative journalist.
A week ago today, NBC News learning new details about the moments police
new
arrived.
details.
Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi.
I love the way the guy talks, how reporters
the
talk.
Pelosi
The new details about what happened.
Now revealing when officers responded to the high priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House.
What?
After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or tried to leave his home.
So that's big news. So that was the big part of the news they didn't want out. That when the cops came, Paul Pelosi didn't go, "Thank God you're here, save me." He just went, "How you doing? Come on in."
But instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police. According to court documents, when the officer asked what was going on, defendant smiled and said everything's good. But instantaneously, a struggle ensued as police clearly saw David DePape strike Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. After tackling the suspect, officers rushed to Mr. Pelosi, who was lying in a pool of blood.
What we do know is he brutally attacked Mr. Pelosi and attempted to kill him.
Yeah, we all know that part.
And wasn't shot immediately like anybody else?
Right? Why didn't you guys shoot him right away? Anyway.
After spending several days in the ICU, Pelosi, who is recovering from a fractured skull and serious injuries to his arm and hand, is now home, where Capitol Police remain on alert. Investigators have previously said Pelosi did not know DePape when the 42-year-old broke into his home. Why Pelosi didn't try to flee or tell responding officers he was in distress is unclear.
Law enforcement officials tell us the bottom line here is this was a terrifying situation. We still don't know exactly what unfolded between Mr. Pelosi and the suspect for the 30 minutes they were alone inside that house before police arrived. Officials who were investigating this matter would not go into further details about these new details.
So they were alone 30 minutes in the house. Cops show up. So by the way, so we know all this. I thought we covered this already, but apparently I can't find the video on our channel. I can't find it. I don't know if it's kind of spooky.
You better pray for Paul Pelosi. He goes hit with the hammer.
So guess what? They fired this guy for doing that report.
Suspended.
I mean, they suspended him. NBC News reporter Miguel Almaguer suspended. So they took that. First of all, the story went up. Then they immediately took it down. And they wouldn't say why. They wouldn't say what they got wrong or what he said was wrong. They just said it didn't meet our standards. They have no standards. And you don't get in trouble for lying in corporate news. You only get in trouble for telling the truth. And so they immediately took it down, and then they suspended him. And Why did they suspend him? Because according to them, somebody was spreading misinformation about Paul Pelosi. So that guy does that report. The report contradicted court documents filed in DePape's case that said Pelosi nervously but calmly greeted officers in a dimly lit foyer where both men stood. It was later taken down with the explanation the piece should not have aired because it did not meet NBC News reporting standards. Did I miss how that contradicted the court documents, by the way?
What?
How does that contradict it says Paul calmly but nervously greeted of officers, not nervously and calmly. And how the fuck does one nervously but calmly do anything? It's like saying Paul Pelosi's dick was floppily rock hard. You can't. Okay. We don't comment. So then, an NBC News, where they're asking, well, why are you suspending the guy? Well, they go, we don't comment on personnel matters. Yeah, but you didn't comment on why you took down the goddamn thing in the first place. I mean, so there's more to it.
What? I don't understand the contradiction.
So maybe the contradiction was that Paul Pelosi answered the door. Mm-hmm. Maybe in the police report it said that a third person, because that was the original story, was that a third person answered the door.
Right. Yeah,
it said on the NBC. It said on the NBC clip that they found him in a pool of blood.
A pool of blood. So the cops are there. He's not bleeding. 2 seconds later, he's in a pool of blood. Doesn't it take a while for a pool of blood to amass?
What do they call him in from Uvalde for this non-action?
Right. Is it so? That was weird. So they show up. He's not bleeding, and then when the cops actually save him, he's in a pool of blood already. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the guy.
You know what else doesn't make sense?
Go ahead.
How did David DePape end up in the hospital? No one's asking that question.
No one asks that question. No one has an interview of any of it, and nobody involved. Nobody has an interview of the cops. Nobody has an interview of Paul Pelosi. Nobody has an interview of DePape. Why? Why would you not want to talk about it? Why would you want to cover it up? Why would you take down that news report? And why would they suspend that guy?
It's just strange as hell, man.
Paul Pelosi.
My Paul would never do that.
You don't think it was?
Jesus, Sky, you look like shit, man. What happened?
I don't know. I got fucking wasted last night. And my phone says I texted someone at 3:15 asking them to beat me up. And then at 4:30, I texted the same person saying thanks.
And you don't remember it?
No, same as last time.
It just seems kind of gay, doesn't it?
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Well, do you think you're part of some, like, gay beat-up underworld? Like one of those gay beat-up clubs or something?
I know, I dig chicks, man. I don't remember any of it. I was so fucked up. I might be gay, I don't know. Hey, do you mind covering for me for a bit? I might go lay down in the john.
That's one of the funniest goddamn things.
Patrick Warburton, fan of pussies, the show I do with Kyle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you believe that first of all, that sketch even exists already?
Yeah. And also, I have a long-standing thing that Fight Club is like a romantic gay comedy for straight men. Ultimately.
So it was supposed to be, Tyler, so what was the guy's name? Tyler Durden?
Yeah.
That was Brad Pitt, right?
Brad Pitt, and he's fighting himself in the parking lot, right?
So Brad Pitt was supposed to be an unconscious projection of...
He goes, I dress how you want to dress, I act like you want to act, I fuck like you want to fuck. So remember, Brad Pitt's with the girl, he goes, you want to come in? And Edward's like, ew, can't we just hang out? Why is a girl here? The whole thing is like, clearly...
It's like his alter ego.
And I don't think it was consciously written that way. I just think Chuck Palahniuk, who's a gay guy, it was like subconsciously came out. Because, dude, none of my black friends were like, oh, Fight Club. Black movies aren't like, we need to start fighting more. Like, that's the real white, emasculated, and then possibly a subtext of gay. Real Spartan stuff, you know?
Yeah. So that was okay. Anyway, it's quite a sketch. All right.
That's great.
What, Jackson, are you in any underground gay beat up clubs?
Not yet. I don't think Soho else qualifies. But
and what I said was that no way is it true that Paul Pelosi was paying for gay sex and it went bad. So I got it right.
Yep.
This happened because I do videos criticizing the Democrats for their transparent corruption. That's why. Not because Paul Pelosi is an alcoholic druggie who got attacked by a gay sex partner. I got it right. So I said that's not what happened. I got it right.
On the record, you got it right.
On the record, I got it right. I said that's not what happened. No way is that true, I said. I got it right. I was right. You better pray for Paul Pelosi, pal. Now say it 12 times fast and rub lube all over your hammer, if you know what I mean. And you better not know what I mean, or you're fired. I was right.